Under Leon Rose, the Knicks are completely revamping their coaching staff. Not only have the Knicks hired a new NBA head coach in Tom Thibodeau, but they've hired excellent player development coaches in Kenny Payne and Johnny Bryant. So in this video, we're going to analyze the new coaching staff and compare them to the previous Knicks coaching staff. But before we continue, I want to shout out Rome the Takeover, who came up with the idea for this video. So if you have a suggestion for a topic, tell me in the comments. If you like videos like this, like the video and subscribe to help me make more dope content. Now let's continue. The first new coach we'll talk about is Kenny Payne. Kenny was an assistant coach for the Kentucky Wildcats under John Calipari for the past 10 years. Kenny was extremely valuable to Kentucky because of his recruiting skills, strong relationship to players, and his player development abilities. Kenny's ability to develop players will be vital to the New York Knicks as they are currently a rebuilding team. If you look at his track record, he's developed a lot of players who've gone on to become all-stars in the NBA, particularly big men. This includes Anthony Davis, Karl Anthony Towns, Bam Adebayo, and DeMarcus Cousins. Payne is often known as the big man whisperer. Part of what makes Payne so great at developing big men is that he understands the direction that the game is going, and he knows how to develop bigs to play a modern brand of basketball. This is what Kenny has said of his philosophy. We want guys that want to be versatile, move like a guard, be able to switch off and defend guards off ball screens. The only thing we want you to do like a big man is when you're around the basket, we want you to explode, rebound. Everything else is guard-like. Kenny Payne's philosophy of what he wants bigs to do falls in line with what's required of modern NBA big men. Back in the day, the role of a big man defensively was to defend the post, rebound, and protect the rim. Those days are pretty much over. Post play in the league is dying and the three-pointer is being embraced. Now, more than ever, big men have to be able to switch onto perimeter players and defend the three-point line, along with being able to protect the rim and rebound. It's the reason why someone like Roy Hibbert, who was once a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, no longer fits in today's league. He's a great rim protector, but he's way too slow to defend the perimeter. The modern defensive big man is a lot more like Bam Adebayo. You have to be able to guard multiple positions along with being that great rim protector. With Payne's track record with big men, including 2 #1 overall picks in Anthony Davis and Karl Anthony Towns, it's fair to call Kenny Payne the big man whisperer. Being that Payne is so great at developing bigs, Knicks fans should be interested to see how Payne will be able to develop Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson has the potential to be the perfect modern big man on defense. He has the ability to not only protect the rim at an elite level, but he is also agile enough to guard perimeter players as well. On offense, Mitch is super efficient around the rim. He even broke Wilt Chamberlain's record for the highest field goal percentage in league history by shooting 74% from the field this season. Hiring Kenny Payne is possibly the best move they could have made to develop Mitchell Robinson. It's also going to be very interesting to see how Kevin Knox develops under Kenny Payne, who played under him in his 1 year at Kentucky. Kevin Knox was drafted over more NBA-ready prospects like Mikal Bridges because it was believed he had an all-star upside. 2 years into the league, Kevin Knox has been a disappointment to say the least. While he certainly has underachieved, I think the coaching staff hasn't really done him any favors in how they developed him. On the court this season, it was pretty clear that Knox was lacking confidence and aggression. It will be very interesting to see if Kenny Payne can instill confidence in Knox and turn him into a good player. The next major addition to the coaching staff that I want to talk about is Johnny Bryant. This is the second straight addition that the Knicks have made from the Jazz organization, as they signed Walt Perrin, Utah's top scout, months ago. The Utah Jazz are a great organization for the Knicks to add staff from. This isn't a team that became a Western Conference juggernaut due to being a free agent destination. They're a small market team. The Jazz are where they are today due to having great player development. What's really impressive about the Jazz is that most of their core wasn't even built off high lottery picks. Donovan Mitchell was taken with the 13th pick. Rudy Gobert was taken with the 27th pick. Joe Ingles and Royce O'Neal are 2 undrafted players that the Jazz have developed into key role players. A huge part of the Jazz's successful player development is assistant coach Johnny Bryant. Bryant has worked with the Utah Jazz as a player development coach since 2012. While in Utah, Bryant helped to develop Donovan Mitchell and Gordon Hayward into all-stars. Johnny Bryant builds excellent relationships with his players, but he also pushes them really intensely in practice and gets the best out of them. Johnny Bryant works extremely hard with players, not only in practice, but also dissecting film to help them improve their game. As Donovan Mitchell said about Bryant, he's always trying to find ways to get guys better and find little tweaks to improve your game. For the New York Knicks, this is another great addition to their coaching staff. The Knicks have a young player who plays the same position as Donovan Mitchell and RJ Barrett. He had a solid rookie season, but he still has a lot of holes in his game. Hopefully Johnny Bryant will work with RJ to help him become the all-star he was drafted to be. RJ has the work ethic to improve, but he needs the coaches that will help him work on the right things, and Bryant has an excellent track record of doing that. Between Kenny Payne and Johnny Bryant, the Knicks have two of the best development coaching minds in the world. Recently, the Knicks have filled out the rest of their coaching staff by signing Mike Woodson, Andy Greer, and Dice Yoshimoto. Andy Greer and Dice Yoshimoto are very familiar with Tom Thibodeau as they both served as his assistants in the past with the Bulls and the Timberwolves. Knicks fans know Mike Woodson very well, as he was the head coach of the Knicks when they won 54 games with Carmelo Anthony. At first, when the Knicks hired Leon Rose, I was extremely skeptical that the Knicks were going in the wrong direction, hiring a former agent instead of an experienced executive. But so far, Rose has done a good job at clean housing. For the first time in a long time, the Knicks seem to be seriously focused on rebuilding, and hiring player development coaches would suggest that. This is a huge about-face from the past, when the Knicks weren't serious about building their core and were more focused on landing the big-time free agents. If you look at the coaching staff just from this season, the Knicks have made some huge upgrades. David Fizdale had no business coaching an NBA team. Steve Mills and Scott Perry hired him because they thought he would help them land the marquee free agents because he's known as a player's coach. I don't even have to say how disastrous that was. Despite the Knicks being the most profitable team in the league, they haven't had the best player development coaches, and I think that's a huge part of the reason their young players haven't developed as much as Knicks fans would like. Frank Ntilikina, Kevin Knox, and Dennis Smith Jr. have all been disappointing for the Knicks for the most part. The main guy that was in charge of the player development on the Knicks coaching staff was Keith Smart, and he ended up being pretty terrible at his job. According to the New York Post, Keith Smart, aka the Shot Doctor, was tasked last summer with improving Dennis Smith Jr.'s jump shot. Keith Smart worked with Dennis all summer long to help him improve his jump shot, yet when the season started, Dennis' jump shot somehow looked even worse. His jumper still had a really horrible hitch in it, and he put up the worst shooting numbers in his entire career. The failure to develop Dennis is probably the main reason why Smart was ultimately fired. Now, under Leon Rose, the Knicks actually have coaches like Kenny Payne and Johnny Bryant that actually have strong records in helping young players to grow into great players. Hopefully with this new coaching staff, the Knicks will be able to develop RJ Barrett, Mitchell Robinson, and whoever they select in the upcoming draft. With that said, that's going to be the end of the video. Do you like the Knicks coaching staff additions? Does this mean that they're going to commit to a legitimate rebuild? Tell me in the comments. Don't forget to like and sub, and enjoy the rest of your day.